Hello and welcome to another edition of the Eternal Journey and the Resolves, and today we've actually just got a quick one. Paul's got like 5 minutes or something, just taking a look at the new patch and some of the things that have changed. A bunch of these are just like draft cards, but some of the draft cards were probably good enough for constructed, looking at Mighty Strikes here. So just going to give it a quick overview, and we've got Ankle Cutter, which has been changed pretty much. It's a bit of a buff nerf here, because now you can't play this alongside a Whirling Geo or any of the Justice lifesteal units. But I think this wasn't really for them. This is pretty much just like a card maybe to bring Skycrag back, because now it gives them a way to be able to deal with an endurance unit and a way to deal with like a lifesteal unit. And I could see this deck maybe, if it's got a bunch of spells in it, playing something like the Skycrag Smuggler, because then you've got access to Rock Slide. And let me tell you, Rock Slide against a deck that, imagine a deck and they're playing like they play Agibot Merchant and then they play Vara, and you just go like, okay, go and fetch Rock Slide, deal 1 damage to both of them, they both die. Just like, the game's over at that point. Like, your opponent is never coming back. So, Ankle Cutter, I think this is a really big change, and with the access to Rock Slide without having to have it in your deck, that could be big as well. And maybe even just like go up on burn spells, so playing Signal Flare as well. So, just like 1 power Killy Sandstorm Titan, or your much more playable at the moment Moonstone Vanguard. Just doing that's pretty gas. Fetch Core, probably still just like a market, probably actually just a black market card. I've tried making this work before. Maybe it costing 2 is the difference that will make it playable. Maybe there's like a fire-based sort of burn deck that might not be playing much in the way of units, actually. Maybe just like some of the cheaper ones that do some burn damage, so like the Ticking Grandin. But place card gain life is pretty huge. It costing 2 and just being like, probably going to deal 2 damage to you every other turn. It's still pretty good. It's just like a Sulfuric Vortex. Laser Fiming, whatever, draft card. If this was the other one, the Empower one. So when I first saw the patch notes, I actually thought it was the Empower one that had been hit, and it gives you 2 Wildcats. If that Amplify cat I've got buffed, would be in some trouble. So I think that the Praxis Merchant will make the Amplify cat that makes Wildcats just like super, like just such an end game for Praxis tokens. But here we go. So we're on to Amaran Stinger, and now she puts 5 Scorpion Traps into the top 20 cards, which is quite a lot. So if your opponent's trying to do anything like drawing cards, it's just more likely to get Scorpions. She has 2 power and is making more smaller power units, so maybe this is good with Chalice. But I was just this week trying to play with like a Xenon deck that was built around Ambush and Charge and a little bit of Warcry as well. So the 2 4-drops like Sakalis and the Nightmare, the 4-1 that at the end of turn it sacrifices itself and draws you a unit from your Void. So I was already playing for a deck that had like Warcries and Charge, and this is just like another Charge unit. So there's more ways you can start pressuring sites or being able to kill your opponents, even though they're playing a bunch of slow speed removal, and this doesn't get hit by Ambition, well the Ambition Charm, whatever it's called, Display of Ambition, because she's only got 4 toughness. So realistically, I'd have preferred to see this as a 3-4, but 2-4's plays still fine, because then it's got other synergies within the game, so you can't play it with Chalice now. Also, if you play this for that Shard that's got buffed as well, it's going to be a 4-4, so spicy. So Sarasword Bull now costs 6 instead of 7. Okay, I mean, the Dinosaur Ally Charge, I'm Charge all the time. If the abilities on this are swapped, so it always has Charge, and then if you have a Dinosaur Ally, when it attacks you kill an enchantment, or attachment, that's pretty good actually. Generally, what you'd want to curve this from is the Dinosaurs at 5 that perhaps matter, Willbearer Behemoth 100%, and the Twin Brood Sauropod. But Twin Brood Sauropod into this, it's probably not super exciting because they've just like unironically played Twin Brood Sauropod, which is like, whatever. Okay, so next up, got Shard of the Spire, and when you play a unit, its power and health becomes the higher of the 2. So it's, you know, it's a build around card that you can definitely build around. You're playing something like Karmic Guardian, the 1-4, like Luma Defenders, stuff like that, just a little bit spicy. It's a little bit rough because you can't, if you build your deck around this, you can't put it in your black market because then you've got like 1 copy. So you end up having it in your market, but that would make you want to have the Justice Merchant, but then you've just got like this random 2-2 for freeing your deck and just like, whatever. So it's probably still not good enough, but it's interesting. We might come back to this. Now this is the important one. Abigraft, goodbye mate. I've actually hated this card. At first when I saw it, I was like, no, it's not powerful, doesn't do anything. And then I played against it a couple of times, and it hit my Merchant And I was just like, well, I literally have no answer to this now. My opponent's actually just got like 3-cost Slay in there, aggroed it, because I can never hit my attachment removal that's in my market. And also just like, I'm just going to draw these merchants and never be able to play them, because those are the units you're going to be playing 4 of. And then when we tried to play for the Kofi deck submission, tried playing with Nostrix Porter, my opponent just like had a Vara or whatever, so they were able to Avigraft us basically through a Face Aegis, and then we could never play any of our Porters. And I was just like, oh, cool. Just what I wanted. Broken Wing Brawler, like, whatever. 5-cost 3/3 Valkyrie, don't care. Levitate, now this is another big one. So this now only hits your own units, but it costs 1 again. So this is a nerf and a buff, so you can no longer play this in sort of like a Feln deck, where you'd be playing this to pop Aegis, but also to get your Jump Feast Scholars in. But now this is got some more utility, because we do have a bunch of Renown cards, and Renown with cards that replace themselves, and fast speed is pretty good. So I like this with Anaya, who also got buffed, but also I like this as just being able to attack sites in another way. And then Scavenge, this might now be sort of like constructively playable, just making a bunch of bodies. They can't block, which seems to be like a sub-theme in this deck, because, well, this game rather at the moment in time, because if we look at Rista, Sheep also can't block. I don't understand why. So these rats, it's probably just like a worse Grenadine assembly line. But if you really care about just having loads of bodies in place, so maybe this is good enough for a deck that's also playing like the 2-cost that makes a bunch of goats, and then you're able to play I don't know, Callus, or just anything that cares about you having a body in play, that you're able to trade for some sort of value. So I do sort of like it. Also can fix your influence, because you probably want to be playing like FGS in that kind of deck anyway. Or at least you want to be playing Stone Scar. Consuming Greed, okay. Left Right Intimidator, just like another elf that we just don't care about, because that tribe has got something going on with it. Now, this is the big news. So Vara is back. So she's not what she used to be, so you can't play it in the old sort of like Haunted Scream deck, where you played like Grasp of Shadows, Haunted Scream, and then just had a full board every single turn, and your opponent could literally never win, even if they just played like a harsh rule every turn for the rest of the game. So this is exciting. She still costs 8, of course, but she's a sign. What else is she going to cost? You now probably get to play this in Feln again. It's going to be difficult, because now we've all sort of adapted to Jot and Feast Caller, and we're probably also playing like a Savage in our market or something. So it's a little bit rough to also get like Triple Shadow. But maybe in like big FJS, you know, big Argent Pot, all these sort of things. Because like Tavrod feeds Vara, and then Vara brings Tavrod back, which is a nice play pattern, because Vara now gives the unit she brings back Voidbound, so you need some sort of way of putting stuff into your Void so that you can like keep going off when you're playing units. So maybe you want to play something like Sparfolk, or maybe even like the 2-cost 0/4 Sparfolk that empower mills a play for free, because then it's in the early game, mill me a little bit, in the late game, mill you for a little bit. And that's sort of like how like Nephalia Janya played in Magic a couple of years ago. Again, back out of this, merchants. I don't mind if all the merchants were just 3-cost 2/2s with some text and we're able to merchant. Honestly, just don't care. This is still a 4/2 for free, which is still really good. It being an X2 is less. It's less of a change going from 3 to 2 than it is going from 2 to 1. Just because you can still block stuff, like it's fine. Now Rizan is a little bit rough. It's still a Flamesong Carvu, or rather a stupid card, whatever it's called, like the one where you play it and it kills a thing. Because merchants are so playable, you're pretty much always just going to have a target for this, but this still also harasses sites. So it gets to kill the best site in the game, which is the Roland's Memorial, and it gets to harass the other sites like Dizos and everything like that, and it still kills like so many things. The lifesteal, it just means that like there's a lot more play to the game now. Maybe there's also a little bit of play in this, because now like the ankle cutter might not always be able to kill this, which is nice. It's just like a big 5/4 flyer that kills a thing and then just kills your opponent. Like the difference between 3 and 6 is quite a lot, but because we're playing Chog, we've already got this built-in additional spells in the game anyway. And because if we do struggle against aggro decks, we can just play Defiance. Like it's not a big deal. We can change our deck to be able to get the 6 spells on 6 probably, really. But other than that, I prefer to have seen this go to 5. I think that 6 is, in terms of cost and how many spells in the Void, I think that 6 is too many. I think if it was 5 spells, it'd probably be more realistic, but I can see what they were trying to do. Maybe they get tuned in the future. And then Cadell Cradle, an old favourite of mine. This costing 3 is much nicer, I'll be honest with you. We can't now play it with Levitate anymore, realistically, because we're probably not going to play any of our units. It's just going to be like mono spells. But I'm interested in trying it out. So, I think I'm just going to. Might try it this weekend, might be next weekend. I don't know yet. I've got some, like, people who made donations and their deck list will come first. But it is something I'm going to come to when I can sort of, like, pick up a build for it. So, Mighty Strikes, this one, I think this was nearly constructed playable, and if Skycrag had had a chance to be played right now, that this would have been a card in that. So I'm a little bit sad that this is now like 3 and 3. It would have been still fine at 2, but like whatever. Again, it's a draft change. I don't play draft, so it doesn't make much difference to me. Holy Peak. So people were sick of this, and I guess now it's easier to get into because it's only a 4 health. I mean, this is definitely a nerf. It's maybe not as big a change as it seems, but it's still a change, and it is definitely worse. The +2 health is like neither here nor there because the +2 and the +3 probably roughly the same for the most part. Like, it's just not going to make too much of a difference. But it's still a really powerful sight. I don't think it's... Because obviously my favourite one is Once Memorial. I think it's still powerful, but it's not as powerful for me as that one just because it's cheaper. And it does make more sense now for this one to have 4 health because Diesel's Office has also got 4 health. Derry, now a spell, well, a card that we've got that is going to impact a site before it hits play. And making like Howling Peak cost 7 or Diesel's cost like 8 is just a huge difference. And even making like a Memorial cost 5 is still pretty big. And Xenon Temple, when people get turned on to how good that one is, making that cost an additional 1 as well, costing it 6 is just huge. So maybe we can play Derry now in some sort of like Maul deck because there are just so many cards we can actually just get stuck in our opponent's hand. Like if you ever Derry like a site, like... It's probably just like never going to get played if you're actually just playing like an assertive plan. And then Anaya, obviously it's a buff. Still think it's probably nowhere near there because obviously if you've got like the double primal, you could just try a little bit harder and just play Feast Call. I think Feast Call is just like so much more powerful. I do like Anaya because it's aggressive, and now it's a 6/6 with Aegis if you levitate it, although most of the time if you were renowning it, it's not got Aegis really, you just counted that one spell. But you can't play Levitate, so that's still good. Also, she's a Gunslinger, which is mostly relevant in that faction pairing because, yeah, but I mean, outside of like Vadius, what Gunslingers do they have? But yeah, whatever. Card's cool, and maybe we can actually play with it now, and it won't just be like the worst card in our deck. Now, this one, I'm a little bit sad about the Hidden Road Smuggler. I know I always say that I would be happy if every single merchant was a 2/2 for free, but I just had a special place in my heart for Hidden Road Smuggler. Just as a free because it was aggressive. It was sort of like, even though you're playing it in a mid-range deck for the most part, it was still assertive, so it played that role that early Champion of Chaos played in like early sort of like more mid-range Stone Scar decks, whereas now you're probably not going to play the 5/3, but you would have played the 5/5. This is pretty much it. But if you're playing it with Roland's Memorial, it's still going to have free power because you're just going to get the buff off that. We're going to... Okay, I've not even read this card before in my life. This turn? Nope. Oh, 50 units, that's actually quite a lot of damage. That's probably kind of good. So, Zalchi, Herald of War. So we've already played with this card. We like it. Now it's got Overwhelm, so it's just like strictly better. And now it's able to attack sites a bit better. And yeah, because I honestly can't see anything bad about this. Like, your opponent wants to block your attack of Zalchi with like a Temple Scribe, and then on their turn, like, I don't know, silence it or purify or whatever. At least you still get to get in for some damage, and if they had a sight, you probably got to kill it. So Zalchi is just better now. Blaze, I think Blaze probably isn't there yet. I mean, the max this can do is actually just like a huge helix for 12. Just like 12 I'll gain 12 armor. I mean, if this just like hit a unit and cost 3, I'd be all over that. That's going to be some gas, but yeah, I think this is probably just like a draft change. I still think it's a cool card, but it's probably not making it into ranked. So overall, like the highlights are Zalchi and maybe Derry, but probably like Zalchi and Vara are like the big changes that I'm really happy about because I just want to play more Varas again because I do really miss this. And then sort of the sad ones is just like, I don't know, Hidden Road Smuggler I'm pretty sad about just because I enjoyed it being a free. I just wanted to play like an Agile control deck, but you kind of can't. For some reason though, yep, there's no Rista on here. Rista still can't block. But, you know, you get what you can. So this weekend, probably going to be back to full-length videos, making 5 games in each. And I'm probably going to do 2 or 3. I've got like some spare time where I've not had much spare time this week, so I'll just be making sort of like 3 games in a row. And then yesterday I was just sort of like in a bit of a rush, so I didn't even put my little transition on the front and the end of the video. But yeah, looking forward to playing with Zalchi, looking forward to playing Vara. Thanks for watching, I'll see you around.